So our today's agenda will be deployment of all the metadata of Salesforce to one from one environment to another environment. So first one will be the deployment process and tools. The second one will be the tool, which is chain set, deployment by using chain sets, and third one is deployment using ant migration tool. This is the anti-migration tool. It's a external migration tool which is provided by Salesforce. And there are two more sources, like we can use packaging, like we can create package and we can deploy that. And the another thing, we can use Eclipse to deploy. So nowadays, like Eclipse is not useful. People are not using that much because Visual Force, they are using Visual Force Studio, and there are CLI options available to. So deployment are doing by that way. Like, but these two, like Chainset and Anti tool, is very like widely useful things. People are using most of the time these two things to deploy. And there are so many, like out of the box provided application are available on Apex Sense, like Copado, Velocity, and there are so many other things. They are also very useful in terms of deployment, but they are all paid. And if any clients and any project have requirement, then they use that one. So we are going to use this Chainset and Anti. Let me show you the, yeah. So deployment process in and tools. So we have tools like Chainset, Force, this one, and anti-migration tool, which is a Java-based tool. Eclipse with Force.com. So if you are ever work with this, like if you have used this Eclipse, then it is very easy. Like we have to just install that Force.com like IDE in that, and we can use that, and we can log in with our credentials, with our old credential, and we can deploy components from one to another. And Salesforce packaging, we can create a package like in a bundles, and we can deploy that as well. And packaging we can deploy on the Apex Exchange as well. So deployment, Salesforce deployment is nothing but transferring your uh, metadata of Salesforce metadata from one organization to another organization. And chain set is very easy to deploy, and this is the out of the box tool which is provided by Salesforce itself in the Salesforce UI. You don't need to install anything. You don't need to like write any code or nothing. So just go and add your metadata inside this, create a chain set, and you can deploy your all the configuration thing from one org to another org. So there are two types of chain set. Like first, it's the easiest way to deployment, and there are some limitation, like that if you want to deploy things from one org to another org, they both org should be connected to each other. Like from a sandbox to production, and from a test environment to production, that kind of thing you can do, like from developer to sandbox, sandbox to production. So they all organizations should be connected to each other. In that case, you can use chainset. But if your organization are not connected, like let's say ki one org is mine and I'm using in my system, and another org is Madhu's org. So if I want to deploy from my org to Madhu's org, which are totally different, then I can't go with this genset. I have to use anti-migration tool, or else I have to use this Eclipse or another thing. So in if your org, like I'm having a sandbox of my production, then they both are connected to each other. So in that scenario, we can use this chain set. We can create a outbound chain set in sandbox, and we can add all the metadata which we are going to deploy, and we can deploy to the production. That is very easy. Just click thing, and we don't need to write any code for that. And for that, like we can test our classes, Apex classes as well in the genset. We don't need to add or use anti-migration tool for that if we are working with connected org. So these are some prerequisites for to deploy using chainsets. So a deployment connection between two organizations should be having, and overall like test classes overall coverage should be more than 75%. It should not be less than 75%. Otherwise, it will throw the error. And create and upload chainset. So if you want to deploy any changes like you have made earlier or you have made now and you want to deploy that change to production, then you have to create a outbound change set, and then you have to add that change, whatever change, like let's say you have created a object, and that object you want to deploy from one from your sandbox to production. Then you just need to go to your like sandbox and create a chain set and add that object to that chain set, and then deploy that chain set to the production. And in production you need to go to setup and find the chain set, and in production you can find inbound changes, because that changes which you have deployed from sandbox is coming to production, so that would be in inbound. And from a sandbox you are deploying, so that will be the outbound. So if the source organization will be the will be having the outbound, and the destination environment organization will be having the inbound, that changes will be having in the inbound changes. So this is the outbound. This organization will give deploy that outbound to this connected organization, and this connected organization will be having now inbound. And that inbound change set you can also another you can also deploy to this again this org, because they both are connected. So that's how this change set will work. So let's see if I'm having any like change set. I don't think I am having chain set over here. Yeah, yeah, I will not be having any option for now because this is not in the loop. I have not connected with any. So this is my developer org and it's a free one. So I don't have any this production and all. So let me show you from my live project. So this is the developer org from my current project on which I am working. Let me go to setup and I'll show you the change set. So here you can see this in the deploy. You can see outbound change set and inbound change set. So if you so this inbound change set will be having your changes which have been deployed to this org. So this is the lowest org. So we have not used any changes to deploy this one, and we are doing any changes in this org, and we deploy to UAT and then UAT to production. So this is the outbound change set. From here you can create changes, you can add. So like I have create use these changes and I have deployed those. So clicking on this new, you will be creating a new change set. Let me give the name test, and in that you can add the component. So let me go. Yeah, here from now you can select which kind of component you want to add. Let's say ki I want to add a custom object. So there will be the custom object. So this is the custom field, and this is the layout and all. This is the custom object. There are so many things. So whatever thing you will create, like let's say ki workflow rule. So there are workflow task, workflow rule, visual force page, validation rule, tab. So everything, whatever you will create over here in this Salesforce Apex class and all trigger, everything will be available over here, and you can use add in your outbound this genset, and you can deploy that thing to another environment. So custom object, and all the objects are available over here. So I can use anything and I can add over here, and I'm not going to do that because it's a live project. So here that will be available, and you can use that. You can add the dependency if any object or any, like let's say ki I am having a pick list value, and that pick list field is dependent to another one, so that you can add inside that. If you want to deploy profiles from one node to another, you can add profile from here, and you can then after adding all those things, you will be having this upload button visible. Now it is not visible because I'm not having any changes over here. So from here you can click on upload, and then uploading to it will be uploading, and then after uploading all those files, you can deploy. Click, there will be button available, deploy, and that changes will be deployed to the production. And in by going this production, let's say ki I'm having this uh, production, and by going this, go to this inbound, and there you will find the changes which you have deployed from the lower environment. So that's how this genset will work. So now we don't have any inbound genset because we have not deployed to this environment. So that's how this genset will work, and you can deploy anything from your source to destination. Is there any query on that genset?
Yeah, hello, Alarin.
Yeah.
Actually, that we have moved few changes to production. Okay, that is
Mhm.
not working as we expected. Can we roll back to older in
Yes,
production?
yes. You
Mm.
can again revert back. So if you click on, so there, if you find, there will be the inbound genset. So inbound genset will be available like after deploying. So once you have deployed that thing to production, then in production you can see, you can test that changes. If that changes is not working, so you can reverse. So by going that inbound genset, there will be the button available, revert back. So if you click that revert, then that component will be removed from production, and that only will be available into that genset, sorry, the source environment. So there will be that will be removed from the production. So there will be the button also.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was the genset, and we have another tool which is a anti-migration tool. It's not like a click and configuration basis, but it's a kind of coding thing. We have to do some kind of coding, like we have to manually add all those component in a metadata set, like this. This is the package of this anti-migration tool. We'll be having three XML files. First one will be the package one. So here all those package, whatever like custom object or custom metadata, you need to write in manually, like name, what's the name of that component, custom object, and the member name. So what is the name of the custom object? This is Salesforce feature MDT. And here if you have any field, then this should be the name. There you have to add all those things. So this is the first one, package file. There will be the another two file which will be having your test data, and the first one will be having your organization login. So from if you are deploying from one org to another, then there would be the username and password and the URL. So that would be available on that, and this anti-migration tool will be uh, like working like that. So in the command prompt you need to write some code for this, and obviously you have to set the Java because it's based on the Java. So you have to set the Java home environment and ant home environment in your local machine, and then you need to install this ant migration tool first, and after that you can work with that. So you just need to add all those components inside this package file, which will be a which will be that. So there will be a folder available package, and inside that you will be having this package file. And if you add anything if like any custom object or validation rule or custom field, so if you add anything over here in this package, we'll be deploying to the source environment, or so the destination environment, which is anything. So if it is connected to each other, no issue. If you are, it is not connected to each other, no issue. You can deploy any changes, any object, any metadata type to one org to another org, whether it is connected or not. So in that case, that limitation is not available. So you can deploy any changes to any org by using this anti-migration tool. So right now I was just like I was working, I was using this anti-migration tool in my last that one sorry laptop, but because of I have just changed my this laptop last so 2 3 days back, so that ant migration tool is not available. But I'll show you the file how I was using and how this. So this is the folder of ant migration tool, and this is the unpackaged file, and I am having this package file. I'll open this. So this is the XML file. I'll open this file. So here I am adding, I have added all the, like this is the Apex trigger, and I have added this Apex trigger, like the name of this trigger, Apex classes. So these are the classes I am deploying. So this is the package file. I have to add all those package, like this is profile. So all those profile I have added, quick action, whatever action I have created, layout, page layout I have added. So this kind of like package.xml will be available here. We have to add all those package metadata type, whatever we want to deploy, and inside this retrieve unpackage all those like whatever we have given over here will be retrieved from your source so in this scenario what it will do is ant migration tool will work like this. Let me show you over here. Yeah, so this ant migration tool will work like this. So first, let's say ki I am having a developer org, and from developer org to I am deploying sandbox org, and from sandbox to I am deploying production org. Okay, so I'm having these three organization, and I'm first I need to take the so I need to take the backup from this. So for this, like I'll take okay, these are the changes I am having, and so for this I have to take first the all the package, like package.xml will be the file, and I have to retrieve all those things. So I'll write like ent. So I'll write ent retrieve unpackaged and then this retrieve unpackage will retrieve all the unpackaged thing, like here all the unpackaged thing will be the retrieved from this or developer org, and it will be stored in the retrieve unpackage. It will be stored in this retrieve unpackage. So in this sample, it will be stored in this retrieve unpackaged folder. And from this folder, once you have retrieved all those components from this developer org, then you can use this. So there will be the username password for this. So by retrieving, you have to provide username password for this developer org. So you can retrieve from there. And now you have, once you have all those files available in that folder, you need to change that username password to sandbox. So for this you need to write this so let me show you that file as well. So there are two another file, build.xml and build.properties. So this is the build.xml and this is the build.properties. So this, in this build.properties, you need to write let me show you by the way. So you need to write all those username and password. So these are my username and password. So you need to write those. Okay. And this is the build file. So here in that build file you need to write the testing, like from which source it should retrieve, from which file it should take the username and password. So that file is automatically created by this tool. And here in this testing, in this deploy thing, you have to write your test class name. If you are writing any test class, then you have to write that one. So that's how this will work. It will retrieve first all those data from developer org, then it will the data will be available in that folder. Then you have to write the username and password. You have to give the username password of this sandbox org, and then you have to deploy that and retrieve unpackage side. Like for this you have to write this and deploy code, or just you can. So if you want to test your test classes, then you need to write this deploy code and deploy code. If you don't want to use, if you don't have any test classes, then you can just deploy that thing, deploy unpackage. So that unpackage folder will be deployed to this sandbox. Now if you that sandbox will be available over here. So that data will be available in sandbox. So now you don't need to create any change set over here. Just you just need to pass this changes to the production. So you need to give that production's username and password, and that unpackage that is the same code will be using for the deploying from sandbox to production. So deploy code will be for if you are having any test classes, then you need to write this deploy code. If you don't have any test class, then you can simply use this deploy unpackage and it will be deployed to production. From there you don't need to write anything. You don't need to go to genset and inbound genset and deploy. That is the very simple tool. Like it will take only 5 to 10 minutes. But if you like, let's say ki I'm having 10 number of let's say ki I'm having this only. So this is my package thing, and I'm having this three apex classes, one test class in. So two apex classes, one test classes, one trigger, was one my lightning component bundle, and there is custom fields. So these 9 or 10 custom fields, custom object, one custom object. So there is a three layouts and all those 12 or 15 profiles and one quick action. So for this package.xml chain set, if you go and add all those things in your chain set and deploy, then it will take around 2 hours. Okay. So first you need to add all those manually by one in your chain set, and then you need to deploy upload those So that uploading thing will take almost 10 minutes. Then you need to deploy to the production. You need to deploy to the sandbox. So deploy from the developer org. So it will be that's so by chainset it will deploy from this developer org. Then it will be available in the sandbox or in inbound chainset. So by going this, you have to log in here. You have to go to inbound chainset. Here you have to validate first. So that changes is validating with this. So that will take around another 20 or 10 minutes, and then it will you have to deploy from that after validation you have to deploy that. So it will be available in the sandbox live. And then again you need to create a outbound chain set over here, because that will be available inside your inbound, but it is not available in your outbound. Now that the files or changes are available over here, so you have to create another outbound chain set like the earlier you have created over here. So you have to write that one, create that one. You have to add manually all those files inside that, and then you have to deploy to the production. Again it will take the same amount of time which it took for this process. So it will be the around like 2 hours process. But if you go with this ant migration tool, you just need to create ant this package.xml, and you don't need to go to like manually one by one add. You just need to write their name inside this this file, just like that. And simply and just go and provide the username and password, and change that username and password for the all other one, and that will be the same folder available. And retrieve once, and it will take around 2 minutes to retrieve. And then if there is a test class, then it can take based on the your test coverages. Like if so that test class can take based on your code, how much code you are having in your class. So it depends on the test class. But maximum if I am talking about that file, that package.xml, then it will take around 10 to 15 minutes, okay, for three org. So it's very there is no much complexity. You need to just retrieve and deploy to the another org. So this is the deployment thing in Salesforce. So yeah, that's it. Any question?
This package file you have to manually create or how?
Package.xml, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so package.xml, there will be that file will be available inside that folder. Once you install this Salesforce like Salesforce and for your in your machine. So this uh, so I have used this one. So here you will be having this folder, sample folder, and in this sample folder you will be having this 4 5 folder available. So this build.xml will be available by default, and this build.properties will be available by default, and inside this unpackage, this package will be available by default. But there will not be any any metadata, because they don't have any metadata. And you can simply go and you can use, like if you are having any apex class, then you can simply write your apex class name over here inside this member, and name of the component which is the apex class. You can find that thing, like how to write, how to find that component name on the Google itself. So if you go to this Google, like deployment using ant package.xml, so it will give you the, where is the Salesforce. So so this is the there are so many metadata Salesforce metadata names will be available. So for Apex class, this is the name. So for Apex class, this is the metadata name Apex class. So this is the camel casing. There is no underscore and all. Apex trigger. This is the name Apex. So if there is Aura definition bundle like Aura component, Lightning Aura component. So this is the name for that. Custom object. This is the name. Layout simple and profile for simple, quick action simple. So most of the time those metadata type name will be the same. You don't need to write the underscore, and that should be the camel casing your name. And you will find all those thing available over here also. Like let's they are having like standard objects. So like this you can use custom object. Like this you can use standard value set. So if you are using pick list, then this is the name for the pick list file. If you are having custom field, so this is the name for custom field. So all those you can find over internet on the help.salesforce.com, and you can use and yeah, once you have your classes, so if so that is very simple, because you are working on the let's say you are working on this thing. So let me close this one.
Okay, for each component that is predefined name, right? For Apex classes and triggers, objects,
So the yeah,
profiles.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
this
For
is
each
predefined.
component,
So this component, sorry, metadata name will be the predefined, but these are the file name. Like I have given this rent com matrix junction, and so this is the standard name, sorry, object
we,
name,
we
which is
we defined our what we
yeah,
define,
in
that
our
is inputs. Yeah. Okay.
exactly, yes. And this is the field name. So this is the Apex class name. So you, let's say you are working in your developer org, okay, and you want to deploy these five classes to the production. So just go and like type this classes name over there, Apex class, and you don't need to go to Genset and add all those manually one by one. Just go over here, copy all those name, and write over here and deploy. Okay, so
Okay,
it will
got
not
it.
take. Yeah, yeah. Any other question?
Yeah, will there be any separate team for this deployment?
It depends on the number of
Quality.
employees and the yeah, company size, I guess. So maybe big companies like TCS or Accenture or Cognizant or any other like Wipro and all, they might having any deployment like team. Maybe they are working on this deployment only, but for companies like us, we whoever is the using or working on any like class and all, who are the responsible to deploy. So I'm, let's say in my case, I'm working on my project and I'm creating any classes and I have to deploy, so there is no another separate team for that. I'll deploy by myself.
Yeah, being as a
So that
developer.
depends.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as a
Being
developer, you need to deploy only. So let's say you have written any test classes. Okay. So if you are working on that test class and you are working on the class which you are testing in that test class, then you are the responsible. Let's say in deployment, is there any error, are there any error, like there are any error which are coming by the classes, test classes, your test class or method is failing, then the deployment team will not be knowing any issue, how you have written that class and what is that error. So you have worked on that class, so you probably will be knowing much about it. So that is the for that thing, people will be deploying their own changes.
So
Okay.
there must be test, test team also, no? Means once we write a code, somebody should be there to review the code and test also. I mean
Yeah,
to say
yeah.
there will.
So
Mhm.
let's say key. So there are so many like in that loop there are so many organization available. So in
Yeah.
my project I have three only. So for us like it's a very small project. So we don't have QA for that. Like testing, we only testing, and our client is having another test team there in their like in their office, so they are testing by themselves. So we don't
Yeah.
have that one, but we have so many projects. Like in that project there are QA. Like in our, so we have a product called 311 of Encapsulate, our company's product. So in our product we have seven organizations. Okay, so there are three developer org. So in that developer org people are working. So if any product is needing any enhancement, or they are working, or they are creating any new feature and they are deploying that, then they are working in the three. So there are three developer org available for that particular product, and they will be deploying. So first is for full stack team. So all the full stack part is done by full stack team in the full stack org. So that will be the full stack developer org. The second one is the Salesforce developer org. So there are two. So first one is the admin Salesforce. Second one is the developer Salesforce. So first, all the related to admin thing will be developed in the admin Salesforce org, and all the related things related to the development will be working in the development Salesforce development org. So these three developer org will be for the available for the development only: full stack, admin, and Salesforce. Got it? Then they will deploy. So there are two another for the QA one in between the developer and production. So there are two another. So they call that QA org. So first one will be the lower QA, the second one will be the higher QA. So first one they will deploy all those, like they will deploy full stack part to that QA. So QA will be testing in the lower one. Then admin will deploy their changes into the QA. So that QA will be testing inside that one, and the developer will be deploying that one to the QA. So the QA team will be deploying all the changes in the QA org. Okay, so the lower one will be first one. So if all things is working correctly, then they will deploy to the another one. So I'll give you over here. So we have the uh, full stack dev org, admin dev org, and dev org. Then they will deploy. Sorry. Okay. Then they will deploy to the QA1. QA1 sandbox. Then there is another QA2 sandbox. Then there is UAT. Then there is production. So that's how our product deployment is working. So first, the full stack team will be working inside this org. Admin will be working inside this org. Developer will be working inside this org. They will be deploying all their changes inside this QA first. all the changes are working correctly, then they will test here. The QA team will be testing over here. If they are not working, then they will report it back to the team, respective team, and they will be again working on that and deploying to the QA. If all those changes are working correct, then they will be deploying this changes to the so combination of three changes. If any feature is needing all the parts from full stack admin and development, then that combination of three all should work correct in this QA. Or if they are not working or they are not related, then the separate can be deployed. So if the changes is working correct in QA1, then they will deploy to QA2. So we have some senior QA available for that. So the QA2, the senior QA team will be checking all the or testing all the scenarios in this. And if all things is working correctly, then they will deploy to this UAT. And this is something serious. So in this is the so full copy sandbox. So whatever data is available inside this, so this is our live product. So our 311 product running inside this production. Okay, so whatever data is available inside this production is available inside this UAT. Whatever changes is happening day to day daily in so that changes also available or happening inside this UAT. So that is the full copy sandbox, and this is the exact copy. Whatever thing available over here, that will be available here. So whatever thing or whatever sorry, any feature we have deployed, and that should work for this UAT, because this is same copy of this production. So if that feature is working for this UAT, then that feature will be working for this production. So this is the last final stage to test, and this is tested by so if any big feature or any big enhancement is coming from these three four five organization, then we have three different team to test over here. So first one will be our BA team. So the business analyst team will be deploy checking all the changes. The second one will be the managing team, who are the manager and the higher senior level of in our company. So who are having like around 10 to 15, or our CTO, and they will be testing that feature inside this UAT. And then the client, so technical team from this client side. So if our client are using, so here if we are deploying any feature, so that will be available in the beta version, beta or pilot. So that will be available for this UAT. So our client will be testing by their technical team, and if that particular feature, so three testing will be happening over here. If that feature particular feature is working correctly, there is no issue, then they will deploy to the production. So that will be available live. Okay, so that's how this so cycle is working in some kind of project. So our product is very big product, so they are using this scenario or this cycle. If there is a small production, then they can have only three, like a sandbox, UAT, and production, or maybe a developer, sandbox, and production. So that depends on the client or the product. Got it? Clear, Vijay, or any other question?